accept. Okay, perfect. Yes, perfect. So we can start with the first question. For you, what means to be a social entrepreneur? What do you think? So for me, being an entrepreneur means that everybody can have an idea and wants to offer a service. On the other hand, for the social part, well, anybody was a service that helped the society or even just building hospitals, associations, cooperatives. Basically, in my opinion, everything that responds to the needs of the society. For example, I consider myself a social entrepreneur because I have a VAT number, and from the moment you have a VAT number, one is automatically an entrepreneur. Then, one can be an entrepreneur on various sectors. In my case, I work on mental health, and so I consider myself a social entrepreneur. Because if someone has a problem or difficulty with their own mental health, I offer this service, so coming to me and you pay to have this service. So, obviously, the enterprise can be addressed to any service, but from the moment you offer a service, you are an enterprise. And the person who is in charge of it is the entrepreneur, whose job, however, is precisely to spread his enterprise. So, we can talk about a social entrepreneur always thinking about the needs of the society and the person that can be multiple. So, yes, it is right what you said. If there is a need, you are offering a service. Yes, it's the market. And for what reason you set up your business? Why? Well, then, in my family mindset, there is an enterprise mentally because that has logically influenced me. In reality, among my ancestors, there were already been many entrepreneurs. I'm a psychologist, I'm an entrepreneur. My dad himself was also an entrepreneur with a construction company, and his dad too had an agricultural enterprise, and probably also his dad had a business enterprise. Because in 19th there weren't the concept of the entrepreneur. So he worked with cows, sold them, bought them, sold milk, bought milk. So in my family, there's always been this kind of mentality. And I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur too. Also because since I opened my study, it was automatically giving me the label of entrepreneur. But I didn't see myself as an entrepreneur, partially because in the past I always say that the entrepreneur is the one who sells objects. So, in my family, it has always been so, but I don't sell any objects, I sell my listening. So, you tell me your problems, your sufferings, but I don't sell you nothing. I don't have a storefront, I don't have a store. But the society sees me as an entrepreneur. Because I have the VAT number, but I never think about hiring some employees or that I want to have my own enterprise. But the law forced me to become an entrepreneur. Well, of course, it's right what you say. You don't have a showcase. You give something that cures people and you support people. Yes, but in my case it's a little bit strange because when you see a store, you also see the price tag. But I don't have a price tag on my service. When you come to me, I evaluate you. I evaluate the pet that is best suited to your needs. So if you agree with my evaluation, we will have an agreement that is unwritten, is verbal. So if you agree, you make a bank transfer to me and then we will start the treatment. I will give you an invoice. So for me, it's strange that you see me as an entrepreneur because I don't see myself as an entrepreneur. I'm a simple person who offers support when another person is in a moment of need. Okay. And when you started opening your study, you started from zero or you had a support from someone who helped you in your career path to being an entrepreneur? I have to say honestly that I was very lucky because when I graduated in 2003, I was in Padua because I was studying in Padua. And I moved to, no, at first I used to make a round trip from Padua to Rome. And in 2003 I graduated in Padua, and then I wanted to open my study. But I said to myself that it would be better to go back to Rome. When I moved to Rome, there were two people who were already psychotherapists. One is Roberta Tomasini, and the other one is Rosanna Bosi. This is the sign for Rosanna and for Roberta. They are two hearing people who know sign language, who have worked for many years in the Istituto Statale for the Deaf and with the CNR in Rome on Nomentana Road. And when they saw me, because I was young, they would be better if I would attend to the psychotherapy school. And they said to myself that I had already attended 5 years of university and I still have to do another year of school, and I still have to study. And they advised me to continue my studies, so that to open my practice, it's better to be a psychotherapist, because the psychology can't give therapists, it can only consult patients. So how you can work? I didn't have the money at the time, I was poor, and they told me to not worry because they would host me in their study, that is in Roma, in Concadoro neighborhood, and they have this study together since many years, and they proposed to me to go in their study. They have 3 rooms, and one is Rosanna room, one is Roberta, and one is Francesco, but I don't remember his last name. Each of them has their own room, and they were paying this rent, and I know that all the rooms were fully occupied. They said to me, don't worry, because you will work on Saturdays, because we work Monday through Friday, and you work on Saturdays. Actually, for me, Saturday was perfect because for the deaf, when they come from a distant city, it's much more convenient to come on Saturdays. So sometimes I will use Rosanna's studio, sometimes Roberta's. So every Saturday I change the room, and a lot of patients can come. I really had a lot of patients that considered that I paid a ridiculous rent, like €30 per month. And when they started to see that my patients were increasing, they said to me, Mauro, now you can open your own practice and get out of this one. And so at that moment that I said, well, okay, I'm getting out, but how can I go on? They told me that to begin, I could look for a studio wherever I preferred, or if I wanted to work with them, I could do that, but dividing the cost of the rent for 4 people. But that area for me was not comfortable, so I decided to look for a place that was in an area close to the station and also close to the station. Also because my patient doesn't live in Rome. I also have patients from Sicily, and once upon a time they didn't do online consultation with Zoom. They used to go to do in person. And so then I found a studio on a side street of Nomentana Street. It was a long way, but I can remember the name of this cross street. I try to think about it. Maybe Area Prati? No. I remember that, Corso Trieste. Yes, Corso Trieste. I was there, I opened the studio, I started to work, and I still had a lot of patients. So actually when I started, I had this support, which by paying a minimal rent allowed me to acquire clients, but I don't lose them by going to the studio. So I moved here to Brescia, and my clients followed me coming here. So it was a simple patch, and for this reason I say that I was lucky. So I know that have difficulties, but everything was easy for me. Having this hedge getting started. Yes, well, you had these people who give you confidence, and everything was easier. Yes, and also we still in touch, and we still talk to each other to ask how we are doing, to tell each other what we are fine. We are still constantly in touch. That sometimes if I have problems or difficulty, we can talk each other, and we make a video calls, because sometimes maybe I have difficulties with some patients. I ask them for a supervision, comparison, and they tell me what is the best way to act. Or they also sometimes have a deaf patient with complicated case and ask me for a counseling. So really we are still a team, also because Roberta now is over 60 years old, Susanna is over 70, and we are still in touch. Oh yes, that's good, because you share each other experience. So next question. When you had to deal with any problem, or better to repeat it, what is your power or your talent that allows you to deal with and solve a problem? Do you do it in your own, or as you said, there are these two people, but you only have these two, or for difficulty in the economic sphere or some other kind? I don't know. Maybe you can tell us something? Okay, from the fiscal point of view, I have my own accountant who is following me since 2003 until now. My accountant, that is a coda, is from Rome, and his name is Roberto Guerra, and he is the one who was being assisting me since the tax point of view, for expenses, income, expenses, bills, and he notify me when I have to pay. So think of everything, and they pay every year when I am owed him for his work. Whereas on the other hand, Roberta and Rosanna support me more from the practical mental health point of view, because they have also been present from my personal life and as well. When I have some problems, they help me a lot. In addition, we also have a group, but it's not a group, it's a company, it's a society that deals with mental health at the European level, and it's called ESMHD. E stands for European, S stands for health, H for health, and M for mental, and D for deaf. And the president of the society who signed this one, and the president is Stefania Fadda. Yes, she is the chairwoman. And how does that work? In the recent years, so before COVID, we met, for example, in Bilbao, so in Spain. We all met there to discuss various issues. So we are all deaf professional or hearing people who use sign language, and we work with deaf patients. And all together we discuss various topics. Then because of COVID, we obviously met on Zoom, and the next meeting will be either in England or Australia. So it's similar the WFD, which will be held in Korea. In our case, on the other hand, we met physically in various states. But sorry, it's on global level. No, for now it's at European level. However, there are also some American psychologists, for example, that come from Gallaudet, and they attend our meeting, and they are welcome. At the global level, from mental health, there is still nothing, but the European level, well, this is enough. However, unfortunately, there are many professionals hearing, and the deaf are few, so I'm trying to convince some Italian psychologists to participate. Some have participated, but they say that they have some difficulties with the language used, because unfortunately they can't understand the international sign and participate by speaking English or taking an interpreter to translate from English to Italian sign language, because there is an interpreter who translates into international sign. For example, the two that I was telling you, Americans are hearing, and they have an interpreter for American Sign Language. And Stefania Fadda, first to become president, was helping us a little bit by scoring in Italian Sign Language. And there was an internal thing of ours also, because we don't have an official public thing. It was our internal thing. So I have this kind of support. For example, if we have problems, we hold meetings, briefing, and we confront each other. So obviously now is a little bit all stopped because of the COVID situation, hoping that it will improve and be able to return to the situation as normal. We will return only well to travel, to meet each other, and so we have also this kind of support force. Obviously, everyone's philosophy is the same. So what does it mean? Maybe you don't speak, you just use sign language. There is no fear on our part, and we use sign language. Or if a person prefers to speak, for us it's fine, and we also take care of people with cochlear implant, and some people have prejudice against them, but not us, we are open-minded. Then you have prosthetic, whether you speak well or you sign well or you sign so, it's not a problem. As you well know, there is no such thing as the perfect deaf person, and there are many kinds of deafness, and also then there is also the deaf plus, the one who also has other disabilities, and we actually never talked about the person who has in addition to being deaf also another disability. I always say that the deaf person, however deaf, can have mental problems like the hearing people. But when you talk about deaf plus, you talk, for example, about deaf blind. So we never talk a study to better understand the difficulties or the person with a mental retardation or person who is deaf who suffer from dementia. So right now we are to devoting to more in this category, and we'll see now how to continue. So from the fiscal point of view, I have my contract. If I need to compare with colleagues, I have this possibility, and I have this to solve my problem. Yes, how you say that you're supporting pillar that help you and support you. Then next question, how you collect the money in my enterprise? As you said, having a cheap print, and right now I started to pay much more attention to the fiscal point of view because I'm already 42 years old. So I guess I will work for the next 20 years and then retire. I am a freelancer, so it means that I have to well invest my money. On the other hand, the employees know that every month that salary comes, and when he retires, automatically you have your own pension. But in the other hand, cannot be cash anywhere. So my income sometimes increase, sometimes decrease. If I don't have a lot of pension, I'm quiet. If I don't have, I worry. So I have to start proposing projects, I have ideas for raise money, come up with projects. I'm also a sign language teacher, so I do that as well. So let's just say that the psychology is not possible, and I always thought about how much hearing colleagues we were lucky. They can only work as psychologists, but they don't, because they also work as a communication assistant, psychology interpreters. They also have other jobs, so it's almost impossible to do only the psychologist. So for years I've been doing both psychology and teacher, and I'm also starting to feel tired because now it's July, and I already know that in August I will not earn anything because I'm a freelancer. So in August I will not take anything as money while the employees does. In addition, the employees, when he is in sickness, know that he gets paid, but when I am a freelancer, if I am sick for more than 10 days, I receive an allowance. However, if less than 10 days, no. I have now applied for a contest. At your place is called ASL. Here instead is called AST, and is in the Hospital Chiara, is a small village in the province, which is trying to hire 2 people. I'm applied in February, and finally the last week the ranking of people who will participate, and we are 216 applicants for 2 jobs. And there are no recommendations, course, facilities. This contest here on mental health, the deaf people with various disabilities also are all on the same level. One in the other competition, you can submit access 68 of 99 or low 104 to get benefits. So now my hope is that to get hired there, so that I can start to breathe more and be more comfortable economically speaking. So working in the morning, have a salary, and then anyway maybe in the late afternoon be a psychologist at home. However, to do from Monday morning to afternoon the same work, then now I'm okay with that. I don't pay a studio rent because I have the studio at home. The studio is at home, so when you enter on the left is home and on the right is the studio, so patients go directly in the studio. So I already saved the rent money for the study. My income obviously comes from the invoices and the patients when it comes paid by debit card or bank transfer, and lastly I make money by doing information. So I have small income that allow me to live well. Yes, this is true. So there are moments where you are higher profits and times when you are less, the lives of freelancer. I like this, right? But I have to tell you the truth. It's bad to say, I know, but I have to thank you, COVID, because gave me the chance to discover a new market in which therapists can also be done remotely. And I never thought about it because in the past everybody was saying, well, but it's better not to do it. Well, psychology know that you could do distance therapy, but we rejected this as being more impersonal. That's not true. It can be done. Then, of course, it is beautiful. Yes, when the techniques also change. Yes, right, then too, but it's a nice point that during the therapy, the patient at some point says that they want to meet me in person, or they say that when the therapy is almost over, and also, of course, I tell them to come here so we can meet and get to know each other. And obviously, there is a difference, but so the COVID one is a bad period, but it allowed me to earn more money, maybe or even twice as much. Yes, also because it still manages to get more customers one after another. Yes, that's right. If you were to think all of the past year and look from the point of view outside of your enterprise, what would you say to people, some kind of messages regarding your business and working life? So sharing a sentence or a message inherent in your experience. That I'm always with this youth. I'm always with them because I do the formation, and I always tell that young people to spur them to do something, and I never want to hold them back. So I always say, come on, do and do. So if you want something, try to do some things. Sometimes happen of a young man who says to me, hey, in my opinion, it would be better if I write a book, or and my answer is always, if you want to do it yourself, why you do have to wait for me to do it? I always say that if you do, because if you have an idea, put it into practice. Then if I still try to put myself in their shoes, imagining Mauro 20 years ago, well, anyway, I know I was young. I had my fears starting my entrepreneurial activity. I had so many doubts, so many fears, but having these two of them, precisely Rosanna and Roberta, who were older than me, and they gave me this chance and this help. They gave me the start, they supported me, and then when they saw that I was starting to get money, they told me, now you can start your business. They saw precisely how many patients I had and how much I was there, and then they advised me how to go on my covers. I still applying their method here, because when I see a young colleague, I propose to him to use my practice here, and let's say I'm caring for what I learned from them. So when I see a young person who has an idea, who is all excited, I'm trying to spur it home. Then I know that opening a business anyway is not easy, because anyway, there is a little bit of this Italian mentally, that is the idea of salary fixed for a month. But I told you, as well just now, because I want to participate to this competition, because it's convenient for me to have one fixed month salary. So I like this idea of a job, steady job, but the one that also gives me motivation to work is if, for example, I will apply to work in a factory, I will not have the stimulus to go to work. I will have to make an effort to do this work. In the case of the competition, on the other hand, the scope of work is mental health, and I like it. So being able to earn both from my work and from my private practice. So if a young person has an idea, must put it into practice and not wait for another person to tell me whether to do or not to do. Then maybe he bangs it against a wall in country of difficulty, so it's hard to find a way to solve them. But yes, in fact, the moment you wake up, you still have to get dressed and go to work. It's not good when you wake up and you don't have any stimulus. You're listless, and consequently doing things unwillingly all your life. Let's say it would be a wasted life, or not really wasted life, but which you work quickly because you can get away to get home. So in part it can be said, but it's a wasted life in which you only aim to bread and butter. Perfect. Now let's proceed with the last question. If you wanted to leave a message, you said it before, but in this case, how you said, now in Italy wants to become an entrepreneur, and so thinking about the Italian entrepreneur with all his laws that are there, the various procedures to be followed to be able to put into practice his own idea. You need to receive training, or I don't know, it just needs to have an idea, as you said, to go ahead and having your goal without getting trained. So fundamental method, what you might be that. So my message is that if you want to be a freelancer on your own, or you don't know, you can also work as a team. So you can be an entrepreneur either individually, but also by a team. So when you are multiple entrepreneurs together, it is not important thing, but what is important is to have an idea and try to achieve it. However, remember that formation is always very important. For example, I have not taken a course to understand how to organize an event. I originally thought that the training was not no use to me. Then I participated, I changed my mind. It was very useful because it explained how to use the media, how to write a flyer, and explained so many things. It explained also these things from one point of view with another. Then mine actually the training was also useful. So it's always needed to participate in formation, but even the most trivial ones. For example, formation that lasts a few hours, like writing a scientific journal, because so many of my colleagues doesn't know how to spell on a scientific article, because they don't know how to write, but with a level that is more basic linguistic, so more colloquial. And this is not good, because in an article you have to write using more courtly terms, because it's still a scientific article. So in these 20 years, I have attended training of a short duration of 10 or 5 hours, and then always turned to be useful because they help in my enterprise to more formal. And if I not attended to this training, my venture might not have gone so well. So I give you a really stupid example. I don't want to create an Instagram profile because I didn't want to make my public my life. But during training, it was told that instead it served and is useful, because if you don't advertise, how you can be contracted? So visibility is needed, and a lot of things are needed. So you have to both take care of social network, but also make sure that the lights on my enterprise never goes out. Also, as I said before, I repeat myself, as a young person, as a passion for sometimes for thinking, as an idea he knows how to implement. Is also important to participate in trainings. I had a moment when I did not train myself. I think for about 2-3 years I really don't do any training. I only just working. That was the time enough where I was feeling devoid of energy. So as I really had needed to participate in a training. So by going to get this formation, I really reload myself. And so I regained some joy and energy. So training and working life are traveling on two parallel tracks. And then, I don't know, for example, you wanted to have your VAT number and starting your business. And if you had the money, you can ask your accountant to help you open a VAT number. But if you don't have money, you can do by yourself. Just go into the Chamber of Commerce, open the VAT number, declare the business. But if you don't know what to do, you can get trained. They will explain the procedures, and if you want to save money, you can do that yourself. If you don't have, I don't have time, so I got my accountant to work with me, would send me what to pay in the tax declaration. So it tells me what to pay when they paid. So I need of this a person to tell me, but if I had been 20 years old, I would have an accountant. So as my earning by increasing, so I can help another person. And you also can be joined by another person. Then, in my opinion, the work already done is a good strategy, while teamwork is very needed. In the past, I never thought about it, but I should take also appeals. I would like to hear a deaf person who can write, who is able to respond to appointment, and who knows what attorney cliff is privilege. Who tells me when an appointment. Actually, the teamwork training, the ideas, passion, and quality is very good. And also the quality you need of all of that. So thank you very much, and I don't know even will it come out, the report. I would like to read and stay updated. Yes, of course, certainly. I kiss and thank you very much for your help. For anything you may need, please write to me. Have a good day. Enjoy your work. Bye.